All right, this particular training week called for a mini test, which I was really looking forward to, which is surprising because the week before this training session, I was in Seattle. And typically, as I've mentioned in my traveling and training video, it's a hard thing to do when you're on the road and get some work in, especially if you're leading towards peaking or trying to test out. I find myself getting very exhausted and run down very easily. I don't sleep well in hotels. I don't eat the best. I'm very busy for work, always on my feet. So I'm just exhausted. In most cases, when I'm on the road and traveling, it's at like 5 a.m. and it's completely fasted, which I used to be able to do quite easily, but now that I'm working with heavier weights, it just tends to be a little bit more difficult. But that being said, the week in Seattle went really well, and I scaled back a lot. In fact, I completely avoided doing deadlifts while on the road, and outside of the main compounds, outside of deadlifts, that's all I really did. So in, out, short sessions, but really to the point, and I'll show you some clips there in a second. But the beginning of the week that you're seeing right now also went really well. You saw pause squats at 405. I've decided to go the pause route versus the pin squats. I find that my actual movement pattern just kind of gets thrown off a little bit, and I prefer pauses, so that's what I'm going to do. I then did some rep work on bench with 260 before getting into day 2, which you're seeing here, which usually calls for these block pulls. So a couple sets here with like just a few reps, kind of making sure that I have enough in the tank for my Thursday, Friday training sessions where I'm going to be actually going for some heavier singles at RPE 8.5 or 9. And then you're also seeing some tempo bench. So my first 2 days of my training week are more of variations or differences in the compound movements in terms of tempos, pauses, like I said, block pulls, something like that. And Thursday, Friday is where I get to the meat and potatoes, if you will. Now, what I'm showing you here is some potato quality, speaking of potatoes, quality clips of me in Seattle. So this was one of my training days where I had to do squats. So this is 505 for a single. That's the Rogue stainless steel squat bar, which is awesome, by the way. It also weighs 55 pounds. Then my top single at 535. Thought this moved really well. Again, 5 in the morning, fasted, being in Seattle all week and still having that weight move well. I had big things planned for my session when I got home because in my mind, this set called for an RPE 9, and I thought that would be about 565. I was really confident that would be the number, but through warm-ups and just as I got towards my top single, it didn't feel that way, so I decided to go with 545, and I think that was a good call because it moved like an RPE 9. A little disappointed for sure, but it is what it is and looking forward to getting into some more training. My top deadlift was also 545. That moved at a 9, I'm going to say. I had a top bench of 315 for a single, which I'd say is an RPE 8.5 or 9, but I deleted that footage, so you're just going to have to take my word for it, and hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching, and stay big.